Alright, so here's a subject I want to talk about, and something I felt like I should say. I like the villains more than heroes. I like supervillains more than I do superheroes. Um, Hopefully this won't get anybody offended, but I really do like because, in my opinion, it's the villain that what makes the hero. Like most people say, and I believe that it's the villain that makes the hero. And there are um, and there is a lot of villains, and they're all unique in their own way. Some of them, like in one video I watched on Blows Himself Up Dude, that villains are evil, and there's always always the sympathetic villain. But nowadays you don't really see a sympathetic supervillain. You just see a villain. And I always had this affinity towards the dark side. And it's such a, I always had that feeling that would I go, as much as I love to write about superheroes and all that, I really, honest to God, believe if I had superpowers, and I could do the things I always wanted to do, I'd really try to be a hero. But I just don't think I could handle all that, and eventually I'd be like, screw it, I'm gonna blow shit up. And that's probably how it'd go. I'd turn into it from a hero to a villain. But I do like heroes and all, but I just like the villains more. It just seems like they have the more interesting story, the more interesting, lifestyle to them. Like, Dr. Doom. This guy's a freaking monarch, and he wants more, and he will not stop till he gets it, and you can't help that some of these villains are just badass. Like Dr. Doom, the Joker, all these guys, they're just awesome, and you can't tell me that these guys are not terrible. I mean, even okay, look, most of the the trade backs I have are of supervillains. I got like Secret 6 Degrees of Devastation, Thunderbolts, Faith in Monsters, Bullseye's Greatest Hits, Bullseye the Greatest Hits, mostly supervillain stuff, because I think the supervillains are more interesting. As much as people don't want to hear that, but I really like playing for the dark side. Probably because I don't really care. I just think it'd be more fun and more fun of being a supervillain more than being a superhero. And it would just seem so fitting for me, which is why I should say right now that I mostly ask questions about supervillains to the Mount Vernon kid, because I always want to know what's his take on supervillains, because he's no disrespect, kid. Of course, I mean no disrespect to you, kid, if you're watching. I just always like to get your input. If you're watching this, by the way, I just like to get your input on the supervillains. And I know you like the heroes more than the villains, but that's why I ask you mostly questions about the villains, like supervillain tributes, what villains would you want to be trained by, and all that. Because it just, I lost it. Hang on. Yeah. To me, it would just seem so right, just being the bad guy, because my lifestyle has, at this point, led me to this moment of, I would just put on a cape, or if I became like, Green Goblin as you're looking at, I just get on the glider, grab some pumpkin bombs, pump myself full of the goblin juice, and go to town. As much as you guys probably don't like hearing this, don't tell me you guys have not thought about not only trying what it would be like to be a superhero, but also what it'd be like to be a supervillain. And you know, I also feel like I feel like I have more relatability to most supervillains. I think I said that earlier in the vid, but I can feel if, you know, a relatability to some villains. Like, let's take for instance the Flock of Fury right here. The Flock of Fury, they're mostly supervillains because they got their hearts broken by the superheroes in the LT Gray show. And I've had, as I said in the friend zone, I've had my heart really torn apart by some girls. And when I first watched the show, I was like, and I can only watch the reruns now on Nicktoons Network. So, oh well. And when I was watching them, I was watching the episodes. I was like, as much as I hate to say it, I have relatability to female characters more than I do the male characters. I'm sorry if I sound creepy, but it creeps me out too. Don't get me wrong. This does creep me out as well, but I have relatability to the female character, to 3 female characters, rather than male characters. Than the male characters. I can have some relatability to LT Gray and other than LT Gray and just LT Gray in the Flock of Fury. That's about it. The only relatability I have to them. Because, LT Gray is trying to understand what's right and what's wrong. And I always have, if I was in his predicament, I'd be like that. So, yeah. Sorry if I creeped you out just right about then, but I'm keeping it real, guys. I'm keeping it real. But getting back on subject, there is not a single show or a comic or cartoon show that I don't have I always want to find out who's the villain. What's he or she capable of? What's his background? Because I always want to get to know the villain first. I get to know the hero first, but then I go right to the villains. Because I always want to know, what are they like? What are they capable of? What is their story? And then move on and learn about them more. I mean, most of the fan fictions I write for the Stormhawks fan fictions I usually write, and the LT Gray ones, I write about the villains. Like I wrote one, it's like in progress. I haven't really posted anything on it. I posted an LT Gray story where I had the origins of the Flock of Fury, like a year 1 story for them, and the same goes for the Raptors and Stormhawks. I'm gonna write a year 1 story for them as well. And all around, I just feel like all I can say is it feels good to be. It feels good to be bad. That's all I'm saying in this vid. That's the general gist of this video. I would feel right being evil. But here's the thing: if I did have superpowers, I was a supervillain, I would not take a life. I would not take a human life. I mean, I would beat people up pretty bad, but I'd never take a human life because I don't have that. I don't think I could live myself having those skeletons in my closet just taunting me that I just took a human life. How am I gonna keep moving? But maybe if I did have superpowers and I did become a supervillain, I think in villain stage, I think you just, like most villains, evolve from just losing the I never take a human life rule and just going along with it and just not caring. I'm not saying, you know what I mean, guys. You know what I mean. If I had superpowers, became a supervillain, and all that. So, just leave a comment. This is really all I had to say. So leave a comment, subscribe if you're new, and all that. And tell me, do you guys like the heroes more, or do you like playing for the dark side? All right, I am out of here.